digital dementia. This is a real medical term right now. This is the idea that we're outsourcing our brains to our smart devices. We're so reliant on our smartphones that our smartphones are making us stupid. Does that make
Makes sense?
See, and we can admit it.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the thing. We have to be able to self-reflect and say, yeah, this is true. This is real. I'm addicted to this device. Okay? And not only that, think about it. If they take that your smartphone away from you, how many people could you really call? Nobody.
Not many.
You don't memorize
You don't memorize these numbers.
Right.
You know? But check it out, because it gets deep. It gets really deep what they're saying here. People are not realizing what's going on. Watch this.
It's convenient. I don't want to memorize 500 phone numbers, right? Nobody wants to do that. But we've lost the ability to memorize one.
But it's not just with phone numbers. It's with doing math. You go pull out your calculator real quick, okay? You're making yourself lazy, and you're making yourself dependent on this technology, thus dumbing yourself down, all right?
I give you a 7-digit number now. How difficult? Would you find that kind of difficult to memorize, like a phone number that you used to do years ago? Yes or yes? Because if I take my arm and I put it into a sling for 6 months, does it stay the same? Would it even grow stronger? It would what? It would atrophy and grow weaker. Same thing with your mental muscles. If you're relying on your phone to keep your schedules, your to-dos, do simple. I went out to dinner with 10 people recently. There was 10 of us. And 3 people at the end pulled out their phones to divide the bill by 10. We've lost the ability to be able to do certain things, and so that's where digital dementia is. Smart devices could be extremely convenient, but they could be crippling also. So it could be a balance.
Can I borrow someone's phone, please? Anyone? Thank you. Okay, there is a subconscious reaction to these devices when we use them. Okay? What if I were to hold my phone while I'm talking to you? I'm not checking it, it's not buzzing, it's not beeping. I'm nothing. I'm just holding it. Do you feel at this moment that you are the most important thing to me right now? No, you do not. Because there's a subconscious reaction we have to the device. When it is out, it makes the people around us feel that they are less important. So when we're walking down the halls in our offices and somebody says, hey boss, can I ask you a question? You go, sure, what's on your mind? We've just told them they're not that important. Or we can go, sure, what's on your mind? And if you don't have a pocket, find a shelf, put it on the shelf, come back and say, sure, what's on your mind? When we show up to a meeting, or a lunch, or a dinner, with our colleagues, our clients, or our friends, or our families, and we put the phone on the table, we have announced to everyone in the room that they are not that important to us. And by the way, putting the phone upside down is not more polite. My favorite one is in the meeting or at a lunch with someone that the phone will ring and the caller ID will pop up and they will go, I'm not going to get it. Oh, so magnanimous. Oh, lucky to eat with you today. Or they could just put the damn thing away. You can tell how addicted we are. When somebody pulls out their phone when you're with them, how uncomfortable does that make us feel? You're walking down the street with someone, they pull their phone out. We feel stupid, so what do? We pull our phones out. We're so addicted. Somebody goes to the bathroom when we're at dinner, and what do we have to sit there by ourselves? God forbid we should look around the room for 5 minutes. We pull our phones out. Meetings, awful. What do we do when a meeting happens, right? Everybody's sitting waiting for the meeting to start. Bob's running a few minutes late. Bob's here? Okay, start the meeting. Do you know when relationships are built? All that in between time. Thank you very much. Parents have to intervene. We have to stop giving our kids free access to social media and phones at young ages. They are not ready for it. Their minds cannot cope with the dopamine. Balance is fine. You can give a kid a phone, but they can't use it in their bedroom. They can't have it at the dinner table. They can't take it to school.
But they do it though.
But see, because we allow them to.
Yeah. And then I even see where they have it, and they say they have phone school. I don't think it's funny though, but.
They have what?
Phone school.
Phone school.
Yeah, where the child got the cell phone, and they playing games or doing the alphabets and stuff on the phone. And they
Well, the thing is that you have to kind of take control and probably do it the old way. Because the thing is, what we're not realizing is we're making ourselves and our children addicted to these devices. It's like we're already cyborgs.
And you know what, too, I saw this little boy, he was playing with his mom's laptop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he got mad with it, and he threw it on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he playing something and got mad, and it didn't work right, he threw it on the floor.
Right. But see, the thing is that this technology is changing behaviors. It's changing behaviors. It's changing our societies. I mean, it's just like how you could be driving in a car and you start texting and not really thinking about how dangerous this is that you're doing. Because a split second, you can get into an accident. Because an accident can happen just like that. Okay? So it's very important. I'm telling you, they are calling this stuff digital heroin. Okay? Because it's so addictive. They're starting now to the psychiatrists and other doctors. They're starting to label this as a disease, as an illness. This is an illness. Think about it. One guy was saying if you're in the bed with your spouse and you're getting up in the morning and the first thing you do is look at your phone instead of saying good morning to your spouse, you're addicted. You're an addict. Let me see. Now, and the thing is that with the phone, you're giving your child access to everything. And people don't realize this. You're giving them access to they can access pornography, all kinds of stuff on this phone. So we have to really start thinking about what we're doing with us and our children. All right, but check this guy out. Let's see. Because this
95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life.
Now, in their research, this is what they're finding. They're saying in the first 7 years of life is so important. That's why, they're giving them access to these things at such an early age. Okay? When you deal with programming. That's even like with school. School is not really there to educate your child. Okay? It's there to indoctrinate your child into the system. Okay? Because a lot of stuff that they teach you, a lot of it is lies, really. Because as you get older and you do your own research, you say, wait a minute, this is not true. What they told me wasn't true. Okay? So the thing is that, even when you think about the word program, it means to encode ideas into something. Okay? Ideas and beliefs. And that's just why another name for a television show is a television program. So you're thinking you're just sitting here watching this thing for enjoyment. No, they're programming you how to think. Okay? And what to think. And what to believe. Okay? But listen to what this Dr. Bruce Lipton has to say about programming.
Poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, and it's a fact, every human first 7 years is download hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. It's like, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's the famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And basically said you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family. Oh, you can't make it, life's a struggle, things are hard, who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because the programming. 95% of our life, it's a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of their life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%.
So your life is being lived, even though you think you're living your life.
Exactly, and you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man.
And it's funny because there's a biblical verse that talks about when you raise your child, early on, that, they'll grow with those beliefs, But, that's what it is. And these people are getting control of our children even at an earlier age now. That's why they're pushing these early childhood programs in school, because they want your child earlier. Okay? Because they spend more time with your child than you do. And you really got to think about it. And our children spend more time with social media, the computer, the internet, the video games than they do with us. All right? So these ideas and stuff that they're putting in through these forms of media, they're taking control of your child.
100 years, because they knew 7 years was the program period, and 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. So you don't have to try and think about what happened. I just say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program that supports them. But anything you struggle with, work hard at, put a lot of effort into making it happen, why you're working so hard, inevitably you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override the program. So you don't need to do a lot of strength and psychology stuff. You just look at your life and say, where am I struggling? Because wherever you're struggling, inevitably is a program in your subconscious that does not support that destination you've been looking for.
And that just goes back to what Allah tells us in the Quran, when Allah says, He will not change the condition of a people until they attempt to change it themselves. So those things that you're struggling with, that you're having problems with, you have to work on it. And once you start working on it, then Allah will aid you to help you overcome, those struggles that you're having.
The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this program, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I go, right, it doesn't. Subconscious mind learns in two fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition. Practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat with the key, and you had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind? Hypnosis. Repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called...
And the thing is, if you think about it, this is what this system uses against us. Okay? Hypnosis and repetition. Think about the bad songs that you hear on the radio and how they play it over and over and over again. Okay? It's repetition. It's repetition. And what I'm seeing in school with the children, a lot of times they're just listening to these things. They're so caught up with the music that they're not even listening to what they're listening to. And some of the stuff that they're listening to is horrible. The stuff that they're watching on television is horrible. Okay? And we're not realizing that when we, listen to these things, we're allowing outside to come into your home. You're inviting people and their ideas into your home. Okay? It's just like the guy that does the show Family Guy. He's an atheist. He's a strong supporter of homosexuality. But our children are watching this show. You're allowing them to watch this show. You're allowing him to come into your home and give you and your kids ideas. Okay? So we have to be, very, aware of what's going on.
Meaning, if you're not a happy person, I say, you want to be a happy person? Then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. I say, well, you don't look happy or anything. I say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. If subconscious gets, I am happy, and 95% of your life comes from that subconscious, there'll be a point, once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
It'll be automatic.
And that's why we see people do affirmations and gratitude journals and stuff, because if you do that daily...
It's repetitive. That's the secret part. Putting a sticky note on the refrigerator is more like a suggestion, but it's not a repetition. So it doesn't work very well. But you have to do... Repetition is a habit. It's making habit. So you got to do something religiously in the sense of...
And you think about it, sometimes some atheists and their criticism of the Quran is that, it repeats itself. The scientists are telling you, hey, look, this is how we learn. This is how we learn. How did you learn your multiplication table? Through repetition. Okay? How you learn your swords? Through repetition. Okay? But now let's move on, because I want to get to a couple of other things. Let's see. Now, I want you to listen to this.
Yes. I still got some here.
Two important things here. All right? But check this out. Listen to what this sister has to say.
This is from the New York Times. These are maps of diabetes. The top map is New York City. Everybody's drinking the same drinking water. The darkest areas on the top is Harlem, where the African Americans predominate in the community. And then the Bronx, and is it Queens? I don't know New York City very well. But two other areas where minorities and poor live.
So he's saying in the dark areas, this is where poor people live.
Right. Right.
All right? But look at the diabetes in that area, how large it is. Okay? That's those areas where these blacks live, okay?
Have much higher rates of diabetes than the rest of the affluent part of New York City. The answer is that we discovered after Chernobyl that the state milk boards are taking the most contaminated radioactive milk from dairies near nuclear power plants, and they're shipping that into black inner city communities where it's sold in the mom and pop stores. Look at Africa in the bottom map. It has the lowest diabetes in the world. So how can diabetes be genetic in blacks if they didn't have it in Africa? It's because U.S. national policy is to genocide the black communities with radiation.
Ooh, that's heavy.
But now, because now it gets a little more interesting, because when you listen to this, watch this.
so unbelievable, we didn't think it could possibly be true. But after receiving thousands of records and declassified reports from the Army, it's confirmed that during the Cold War, the United States military conducted secret tests on unsuspecting people in the city of St. Louis. A local sociologist will make her findings public tomorrow, but she spoke first to the I-Team's Lisa Ziegman.
Lisa Martino Taylor's life work has been to uncover details of the Army's ultra-secret military experiments carried out in St. Louis and other cities during the 1950s and 60s.
This study was secretive for a reason. They didn't have volunteers stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll breathe zinc cadmium sulfide with radioactive particles.
These Army archive pictures show how the tests were done in Corpus Christi, Texas in the 1960s. In Texas, planes were used to drop the chemical, but in St. Louis, the Army placed chemical sprayers on buildings and station wagons. City officials were kept in the dark about the tests. The Cold War cover story was that the Army was testing smoke screens to protect cities from a Russian attack. The truth, according to Martino Taylor, was much more sinister.
It's pretty shocking. The level of duplicity and secrecy, clearly they went to great lengths to deceive people.
By making hundreds of Freedom of Information Act requests, she uncovered once classified documents that confirmed the spraying of zinc cadmium sulfide. The greatest concentration of this compound was sprayed near the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex just south of downtown St. Louis. It was home to 10,000 low-income people, and an estimated 70% were under the age of 12. Martino Taylor claims they all unknowingly inhaled this compound morning, noon, and night, so the government could measure its effects on their lungs.
So this is in violation of all medical ethics, all international codes, and the military's own policy at that time.
In 1994, then Congressman Richard Gephardt asked the Army to open its records and explain the St. Louis testing.
We want to make very sure that nothing went on that would harm anyone and that all the facts are out on the table.
Documents released in the 90s show the Army placed sprayers on this former Knights of Columbus building on Lindell and in Forest Park. The Army always insisted the chemical compound was safe. Martino Taylor believes documents prove otherwise.
There's a lot of evidence that indicates that people in St. Louis, in the city, particularly minority communities, were subjected to military tests that was connected to a larger radiological weapons development and testing project.
For the first time, she links the St. Louis testing to a company called U.S. Radium, a company notorious for lawsuits involving radioactive contamination of its workers.
The United States Radium had this reputation where they had been found legally liable decades prior for producing a radioactive powdered paint that killed many young women who painted fluorescent watch dials.
While the Army admits it added a fluorescent substance to the zinc-cadmium compound, details of whether it was radioactive remain secret. Documents uncovered to date indicate the Army never conducted follow-up studies to see whether the compound caused long-term health issues. In 1972, after years of crime, poverty, and decline, the government destroyed the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex. Lisa Ziegman, News Channel 5, I-Team.
Got rid of the evidence. But now, let me ask you this. How many...
Ain't that something?
But now, how many of you remember the movie 3 the Hard Way?
I remember that.
You remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Long time ago.
What was it about?
I don't remember. I just remember the title.
3 the Hard Way. They had some of it was one of the black exploitation films. Who was it? You remember? Jim Kelly, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown, James, yeah. Jim Brown.
No, it wasn't Rich Browntree. I'm trying to think of what the other guy's name
Yeah, I can't think of the other guy.
All right.
You just got here.
But now watch. I want you to see this. Oh, look at
Well, look at my smile. Hey, sister. Hey.
All right. is the trailer for 3 the Hard Way. All right? Check it out.
1974.
This little mixture of mine is as lethal as cyanide. And as selective as a lady buying perfume.
You'll just work on the black folks. Leave the rest of us alone.
Just like sickle cell anemia, Mr. Weather.
How fast does this stuff work?
72 hours at most.
To God 7 days to create the world. We can cleanse it. Just 3.
Washington.
LA, Detroit. Just you wait and see. They're gonna kill every one of you. Black, brown, tan.
You don't remember that, do you?
No. See, you gonna
Fred Williamson.
You gonna make me
All
go
right?
back and watch that?
Right, but think about the plot though,
Right.
and see what these people are doing. In the Quran, Allah tells us the life of this world is nothing but amusement and play. All right. When you look up the word entertainment in the dictionary, it means to distract, to keep your mind off of important things that's going on. All right. But now check this out, because you gotta finish this out. Watch it.
Yeah.
All right. There's the first trailer.
Fred Williamson. Jim Kelly. They've done it before on their own, but this one's too big to handle alone.
You know, man, you come to town, I know there's gonna be trouble.
Brown, Williamson, Kelly, the big 3, together for the first time. They do it their way.
3 the hard way. 3 cities and 3 of us.
My troubles are almost over.
Gonna kill us all.
You see, we have a scientific institution here.
They found a way. Only us. Nobody else.
The ultimate purpose is a cleansing, purification of the races.
You gotta stop it. Yeah, brother, I'm ready.
So even back then, they were talking about what we call ethnic weapons. They are developing weapons